We have USASS in the building. Yes. It's a good amount of them. Y'all heard the introductions a little bit earlier.
That's probably why I'm sweating.
Are they making you nervous?
There's a whole lot more.
There's a whole lot of folks in here. I'm hot. About to go open this door.
Pretty toasty.
Yes. Anyway, so as we promised, we're going to let you guys just dive right into it. Tell us any and everything. I know you got some phone numbers and some emails that y'all want to give out.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to make sure that y'all can say and do everything that you need and want to do, okay? So y'all have at it.
Okay, so I'm gonna, I guess, start. So we're all Georgia State University students, and our school has purchased Turner Field. And what we haven't done is talk to the residents around Turner Field who will be directly affected by our purchase. And so the neighborhoods around Turner Field created a coalition, and they elected leaders from those neighborhoods around Turner Field to represent themselves. And they reached out to us, letting us know that they want to be included in the planning process, because you can't just go over there, take over Turner Field, and not worry about what happens around Turner Field.
Right.
Yeah, and so one of the things that happens, first of all, this is called gentrification.
Right.
Not all gentrification is bad, and we're seeking and looking for a good type of gentrification where we're including the residents, where we can ensure that they're not displaced. And the only way to do that is creating some sort of agreement to ensure that doesn't happen. And so we are trying to pressure our president, President Becker, who refuses to sign a CBA, a community binding agreement, which has stipulations ensuring inclusive planning with the residents and also to ensure they don't get displaced. He refuses to do so, and we're fighting, and that's what this is about.
Because isn't it a lot of times when this happens, like rent will increase,
Absolutely.
mortgages will increase, because now this is like prime property or prime area, and there's going to have like a lot of businesses are going to want to come in and
Thank you.
and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yes,
Price
and
of
so
living
like
will
with,
increase. Yeah.
Right.
And specifically, there's a report put out by an organization called the Housing Justice League. It's called the Atlanta Renters Crisis Report. And it specifically details a neighborhood in the Turner Field area called Summerhill. And in Summerhill, something like 74% of the residents there are renters. And more than half of them end up spending more than 35% of their monthly income on housing needs, so like rent, property taxes, that kind of thing, which makes them uniquely vulnerable
Right.
to increases in rent, increases in property taxes.
So at the most, you're only supposed to spend about 30% of your total income
and
to
and the
survive.
CBA would ensure that we would have circuit breakers in the CBA. So basically, if you make more than, if you're paying more than 30% of your taxes, there'll be a cap. Well, if you don't have a CBA, that won't happen. They're going to be displaced. So everything Becker has said, we don't plan on displacing. Well, what are you doing to ensure that doesn't happen?
Right.
The history of Atlanta shows us that will happen, that has happened. And unless you put things in place to ensure that doesn't happen, it sure will happen.
Because at the end of the day, it's all about money.
Right.
It's coming down to money. And then when you're legally binding someone, you know what I mean? You're putting a cap on padding their pockets and, and whoever else is in bed with them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, once you have it written on paper and it's a signature involved, it's like they can't go back on their word.
And there's legal repercussions in that as well. And the biggest thing that these citizens want in these communities is community oversight. They want to be able to have oversight and control over what's happening in their communities. And
Right.
so often what we see in the process of gentrification is that voice literally being stripped away from them and people literally being forced out of their homes, and that causes mass displacement, literal homelessness, and people just being pushed, miles and miles away from their homeland. These are people who've been in their homes 40, 50, 60 years and have literally seen the fabric of their neighborhood, grow and shift and change. They've, had their families, live and thrive there. And now they're seeing, particularly with the Turner Field area, this is an area that's already been gentrified before, whether it's been with the Olympics, whether it's been with Turner Field in and of itself, the Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, I-20. And these were thriving black middle class neighborhoods that had grocery stores and black owned businesses, barbershops, the whole nine. And if you look at them today, they're I wouldn't say they're in shambles. There's still, great community programs and things, and you still have a relatively thriving community, but they are still, struggling to make ends meet. And Georgia State University, instead of, truly living up to its creed of, diversity and inclusion, is instead, deciding that it doesn't want to include these residents in the process, and doesn't want to have a commitment to diversity, but rather have a commitment to its donors, have a commitment to capitalism, have a commitment to displacement. It's disgusting, and it goes against the morals and creeds of our students and our university. And unless we stop this, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to play into the Atlanta narrative, the Atlanta way of just shaking hands with the business elite and forgetting about its most vulnerable and most important residents.
And Georgia State is right smack dab in the middle of the city, and where, in a close vicinity to where Turner Field is. And, how this interview even came about is because I was looking into going to Georgia State for graduate school for public policy, and Asma saw it and she was like, oh, you should join, and yada, yada. And I was like, oh, you guys should come on the show. But, it would make me think twice about it, because I just
tuition.
Tuition. Like, you're paying for these people. I have an issue with that.
But also, this city has a history of making these empty promises to these people. This isn't the first time this has been happening as well. I mean, we have how many stadium deals
going on
right now, and all of these funds that we could be using we could allocate to these communities and fund community programs and lab schools, and we could rebuild homes for these people and give these people the means that they deserve.
Even the homeless, there's so many homeless.
Mayor Kasim Reed closing down.
I cannot stand him.
Homeless shelter. No one can.
Like, I literally
Greed.
Oh, Jesus.
Kasim Greed, bro.
And can we talk about for a second what you just said about Kasim Reed saying $193 million going to be allocated for to renovate the Phillips Arena, and $140 million coming from car rental tax.
Wow.
And then the rest of it coming from the Turner Field purchase.
And
right.
And then there's an article about where
Yeah.
that's coming from, the Turner Field purchase, from the parking permits, from our book fees. So literally the students are paying for it. So literally he wants to take our money,
Right.
our hard-working earned money, and we're trying to fight this from happening, and he wants to take that to develop another to renovate the Phillips Arena instead
Right.
of putting it into the community so they can have
And it's not like we're
a
rolling in
CBA.
it.
Right.
Like, my dad works 2 jobs to put me through college, and his money is going to
And I don't want to work 2
gentrification.
jobs to help put somebody else
No.
out of a home.
Exactly.
basically.
And my dad loves that we're a part of this, but it's ridiculous that they only used a certain amount of that money for the Phillips arena thing that they're doing, and instead of allocating the funds to the community.
Or how about we take some money out of your paycheck?
Yeah.
Because you guys are
You
getting
make a
paid,
fuck
God knows, 200 something, 300, 400. I don't even know the number. I know it's a lot.
Mark Becker is the number 5 highest paid university president in the country. He makes like $1.2 million a year.
That's
So are you
bullshit.
donating anything? Like, what are you doing? Why are you taking money from
He's
it?
a
You know what I
greedy
mean?
man.
Doing jack shit. It's awesome.
Like, stuff like that really blows my mind. And then this even, when you're talking about all these congressmen, congresswomen, you're getting paid upwards of $400,000, $200,000, $300,000 as well. And I think what these people are forgetting is that you work for us. You have a paycheck because that is coming from our taxes. So I don't understand what y'all don't understand about this. This is not about you. We are your and I'm a firm, I cannot tell you how much I believe that from the bottom of my soul, and how much I say that on this show. You work for me. That president at Georgia State, Becker, you work for me. You have a job because of me.
Yes.
Mayor Reed, you have a job because of me. Trump, unfortunately, you're about to have a job because of us. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't because of me.
It wasn't because of me.
It wasn't because of me either. It wasn't.
I'm not gonna take claim to that one.
That money, it's our money, and you allocate that money how we want it allocated. You know what I mean?
Speaking of the specifics, of money, literally that money that's going to Phillips Arena is just enough for what the CBA is asking for. Like it would literally cover it.
Right.
So like it's $10 million over.
Yeah.
Right.
$30 million. The CBA comes out particularly for the community block grants that will provide low income loans to the residents of Turner Field. It comes out to about $22 million. So the $30 million that's being allocated towards Phillips Arena that was specifically designed and allocated to go towards these communities is being ripped from them to develop arena that already has, state-of-the-art graphics and seats. It's already balling out like fuck. Like,
I've been there a couple times recently, and it's nice.
This money
You understand the Hawks are making a lot of money anyway. Why can't they just put the money into it?
Right.
Hell no.
But my thing is, let's come together and figure out somewhere else we can get this money from. Let's sign the CBA, and then does what's the shit called? Phillips Arena. Does it have to get fixed, or whatever you're trying to do, upgrade it this second? No, it doesn't. And Phillips Arena gets packed.
Yeah,
it gets packed.
All the concerts, all the basketball games,
my ex-boyfriend
all the hockey
works there,
games,
and it's perfectly fine.
No one's. It's not missing a dime.
No.
Yeah.
Like you're already doing. We just moved the Georgia Dome or whatever we did to the Georgia Dome. Whatever the hell's going on with the shit. Turner Field.
I don't know what they're gonna do. What are they doing with the dome?
I don't know. They're doing something.
But they're not. Yeah, they're pretty much. Atlanta Falcons is getting. I watched the video this morning. It's repulsive how much money they're putting. Like $1.5 billion into this freaking arena.
It's crazy.
And they have all this money that they say they don't have. But also another point is these residents aren't asking for cash, and I feel like that's what these people think is they're asking for this cash. They're asking for help.
Well, maybe if they listened.
Yeah, maybe if they listened. You should have seen the council yesterday. They rolled
Tell
their
us about
eyes. They texted. They huffed and they puffed. And we tore into them. And I called Carla out on her white privilege. We called Keisha, Lance Bottoms out on how she was talking about how, let's take a moment of silence for the young children's families who were the kids that were attacked by the pit bulls, which was horrible. That was terrible.
Right.
But then we looked at her and said, well, what if you had to come home and tell your kid that, you can't live in your house any longer?
Right.
What if you had to come home and say, like, we can't live here anymore because the city has taken our home?
Right.
And I think it was very powerful having a group of students and residents go and speak to these people, because we made a difference yesterday. We pissed some people off, and I think it was really, really powerful. It was one of my favorite. I've been doing activism for a while, and it's one of my favorite actions I've ever done. So
that's awesome. So have you guys heard anything from any of the representatives or from, it's Becker, correct?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah, mostly just like ridiculous nonsense. But last semester, actually, towards the end of last semester, after we got a table at the Distinguished Alumni Dinner, which is like a private event. Lots of like rich folks who are there, doing their rich folk things. Actually, Asma was there. She can probably speak more to exactly what happened there. Do you want to talk about that, Asma?
Well, just basically, we had a table, and we had students, USASS students, and residents from around that neighborhood. And because Becker won't meet us anywhere, we called, we had a sit-in, we emailed, he just refused to sit and meet with us. So what we did is we said we're going to get his attention. So we went ahead and got a table, just like all the other alumni.
Right.
And some of his big donors were there as well, I'm sure. And when he got up to speak... I
love it already.
Yep, when he got up to speak, and we were all dressed up. We looked beautiful. We had great dinner. And then when Becker spoke,
the food too.
Yeah, when Becker spoke, we made our move. We just basically stood up and we let him know we're Georgia State students. We have called you. We did sit-ins. We emailed you. You're ignoring us. The residents are outraged about the purchase. We refuse to allow you to use our money to displace residents. You have to hear us out.
Right.
And so it was later that same day where he finally agreed to sit down and
because you messed with his pocket.
Exactly. Which goes to show that this pressure that we're using, these actions do create some sort of
disruption
and pressure, real pressure that causes real change. Now the problem is he keeps saying that it's only like the majority of students are not on board with the CBA, and it's only like a handful of students. But in fact, we go out and we talk to people, and once we do, they're all on board about the CBA.
Right.
So we're really asking people to call President Becker, even if you're not students, just to put pressure on him.
Right.
So if you have a pen, paper, please write this number down: 404-413-1300. Again, 404-413-1300, and just say that you really, really demand and want that President Becker sits down with the residents around Turner Field and signs a CBA, a community benefits agreement, a binding CBA. So yeah, and there's many other actions we've done. We're going to continue to do. We're just going to escalate. Some of us are willing to get arrested because we're not going to allow this to happen, not under our watch.
Right.
And if you ever have thought about, helping out with activism, or you don't know where to get started, this is a really great way to start. It's just blowing up his phone with these, calls and messages and emails, and just like if you don't know where to start, and
I've even seen y'all had classes, right? Did I see something about a class on your Facebook page? Like you had like I know I saw like a general.
Classes.
You go to classes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you go to Georgia State and you're listening, and you want to join, come on and join. If you have teachers or professors that you want to get behind, let us know, and we can go to the classes and speak. We're here to,
do whatever you need
educate
to do.
if we need to,
And I think a great option would be, I don't know if you guys have done this before, but I went to like the little welcome meeting where they tell you all the great things about the city and yada yada, or whatever it's called.
Incept.
Yeah, whatever, I don't know what it's called, but so you have all these students who are thinking about coming to Georgia State. You know what I mean? And that would be a great place to make a scene. Like, don't even come here, because guess what? You can end up being one of these people too if you live over by Turner Field, because if you don't live on campus, you know what I mean? Or
we've actually done that during orientation. We went to the Honors College and we held space and we screamed and shouted. Police came, but we were able to hold space.
Right.
Yeah.
See?
And we didn't mention our Facebook page, which is so important.
Yeah. So we do keep our actions confidential. But if you do want to get plugged in, you do want to be a part of action, or if you want to be on the sidelines and you want to help, our Facebook page is the acronym USASS, USAS at Georgia State University. There's also the Progressive Student Alliance that is involved, and the Sustainable Energy Tribe, International Socialist Organization. All of those groups can plug you into this.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it's really important to note also that we can win this fight.
Yeah.
There are a lot of activist causes that seem kind of like lost causes, seem like real uphill battles, but Mark Becker lost this fight the night he called us after that alumni dinner and showed us that we could scare him.
Right.
And we're going to keep doing it until
Right.
it signs the CBA.
And that's the thing, they want to scare you because they have the money, because they have the title, because they're known, and they people in power want to make you feel like you don't have power, when in actuality, we do. We have more power than you. It's just one of you. And how many of us is there?
I just want to hear from Sam, because he's over here. He's quiet. But he has so much to say when he does talk. So I want to give him this opportunity. What do you want to say, Sam?
A lot of struggles feel like an uphill battle. But yeah, we managed to scare Mark Becker. After the meeting that we had with Mark Becker, supposedly I was not there. I had to work. I hate working. I have to do it. He rushed out of the meeting. Before the meeting was done, he just walked out. He was so upset.
Halfway through.
And there was a whole bunch of our fellow students. They were waiting in the lobby because of Carter Development. GSU is partnering with a private developer to do this huge deal. Yeah, that's never good. It's never good. And apparently, as President Becker walked through the lobby, as soon as he saw us, a lot of them, they stared right in his eyes. Just gave him that death stare. The look. And apparently, he looked straight down at his shoes and started power walking out. That's how scared he is of us.
He had to have a car waiting because we went after him, and he was gone. Like, we literally chased him down. He was nowhere to be found, and it was halfway through the meeting. He
That's
left halfway
hilarious.
through.
I love it. That's hilarious.
But we
I mean, so it was directly after the alumni dinner, which was one of the later actions that we actually did that semester. The Turnerfield Community Benefits Coalition, which also their website is turnerfieldcoalition.org. If you want to see generally what the CBA is about, go look for the platform online. But anyway, they were emailed. Their lawyer was emailed. And so the meeting was set up, and they only allowed one student, and they had basically one resident.
They love
and
doing
another
that, only
representative.
allowing one person in.
Yeah, and the lawyer. And so we argued the case because we are the students, and we literally are directly responsible for him, that we should be there.
Right.
And if it wasn't for the lawyer, pushing back, we would have been in there. But we did stay downstairs and held space to show him that as students, if students are upset with you, you need to do something about it.
Yeah, I mean, and if you don't have students, then you don't have a college. Right. So, I mean, like, what if everyone just really, let me start saying, like, we're going to, transfer to another school or something like that. And, I mean, is that what I got to do? Like,
and also the difference between the student body and the government of this school is ridiculous. Like, I mean, the student body, we're willing to take these risks and to fight for these people,
right,
while we're watching these people in power just use and trample. And it's like what we're watching in city council. It was literally the same thing. It's just watching people in power abuse their privilege immensely, and it was extremely aggravating.
And it's really crazy because it seems as if once people get power, it's like they're so afraid to lose it. It's like they'll do anything to hold on to it, but it's like it's actually it's the opposite. Like, let's try something we've never tried before, right? Mm-hmm. And you'll probably have power, quote unquote, a lot longer if you did what the community and the people who you represent want you to do.
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean?
Reach for your true power, like your people power.
Yeah.
You always have that. It doesn't matter what position you are.
Because they're going to back you up. Like you said, there's power in numbers. So if you have your community backing you into the decisions that you're making for them, I mean, what better way? And then you're making people happy. You're not displacing people. Everyone has access to food and a home and clothing and just the necessities of life, but instead you're choosing to do the opposite.
They think they know what's good for us,
right?
So they know that if they were all open about that, they know that we would push back,
right? Mm-hmm.
So they know they can't.
They have to lie. They have to cover it up.
Yeah.
And if also, I think this is kind of important for the people who are listening.
Okay.
Because at the school we have a student petition, but there is a petition that you could, participate in if you feel strongly about this cause. It's on housingjustice.league.org, and it's the renter state of emergency petition. And all it will ask is for you to put your email address in, and you've officially signed. If you're not comfortable with that, I totally understand. But if you are and you actually want to get involved, you can even volunteer. You can click a button like I'd like to volunteer, or I would like to donate, or I would like to just sign the petition.
Right.
So it's up to you guys. If you don't, that's totally okay. I understand confidentiality reasons. But that would be awesome if you wanted a way to kind of get involved. So
awesome. Antoine, you've been real quiet.
I have. I've really just been listening.
I know.
I like to listen and look at different things, but there's a couple things I really want to touch on. Well, listening is fundamental, but it's y'all go to Georgia State and I go to Morehouse School of Medicine, so a lot of the things that the AUC fights for or whatnot, I really understand. For us at Morehouse School of Medicine, and I'm working on my master's in public health, we spend a lot of time in the different NPUs around Atlanta. So mainly NPUT, NPUI, KLV, and R.
What is an NPU?
So NPUs are neighborhood planning units, and that's how they kind of separate the different neighborhoods.
Oh, you've told me about this.
Right.
Yeah, you told me about this.
It's like
we've been to a few meetings.
So
okay,
yeah, we know about NPUV. That's where
so
the Turnerfield stuff.
This is Mechanicsville, Peoplestown, Summerhill, Adair Park.
ironically, on MLK Day, we actually went out and did some community service in MPUV in Peoplestown mainly. It was a neighborhood cleanup. Sorry, not Peoplestown, the Pittsburgh community. And we went out, we did neighborhood cleanup.
You hit something.
Right. So it was really interesting, though, because we did this last year, too. And when we went out there, we cleaned up mainly the neighborhood. But this time when we went out, they only had us clean up 2 particular lots. And these lots were in between 2 houses. So this looks like where 2 houses had been torn down. They wanted to kind of clean up how they trashed it and whatever. But the 2 houses on the other side were really nice houses. And I don't know if you've been to the area, if you remember kind of old Atlanta.
I'm going to say, I lived off of MLK.
Right.
So I know.
So that area of Pittsburgh used to be older houses. But now that these houses have been remodeled, restored, and you're starting to see a lot more people. You're starting to see curtains on the porch. And it's just really nice. You know what I'm saying? And nothing's wrong, you know what I'm saying, with that. But again, when you look at the people that live there that are these are historically black communities or historic communities that, and I know for a fact that a lot of times they weren't consulted before things were done.
Oh,
and one of the things that
they can easily be bought out because, a lot of these people.
not easily.
Well,
because what's happening
apparently,
is
yes, they can be.
They're not bought out; they're forced out.
Or forced out,
and
whatever.
that's the problem.
And that's the problem with eminent domains. That's a problem.
Right.
Even these people. There's a professor at our school that lives in a neighborhood who is a Tanya Washington. Shout out to her, love her. But she was a homeowner, and like got her house taken. Wow. So it's just to the point where it's like, she looks on the thing and her name is no longer there. It's the city of Atlanta. So people could be homeowners, owners, not renters, and they can still have their homes taken from them.
Right. And that's the thing that's really going on a lot of it, especially when we talk about like the Georgia Dome, that whole area over there, Proctor Creek, English Avenue and all that. They're trying to build bridges, but see, they're not consulting. And one of the things they really teach us at Morehouse is that in order to engage with the community, you need to be engaged with the community.
Right.
If I'm to be, a leader at all, I must have or if I'm, render service to all, I must give service to all. So you have to understand what the community wants in order to make sure. You can't just go over there and say, I got degrees and this is what I'm going to do.
Well, and I think that was the whole. I think that's exactly what we've been talking about. You know what I mean?
So that's why I say I've really been listening at kind of what's been going on, because a lot of this ties into a lot of things that we've learned. And one thing I will say more teaches us is that they teach us to engage the community, figure out what they want, and then to use our degrees and things like that to help them achieve what they want.
Right.
Because in some cases they might not be as educated, things like that. But you look at the different situations, and like y'all mentioned, these aren't just houses that somebody stays in. My mama grew up in this house, my grandmama grew up in this house, and whatever the case may be. And the problem is a lot of these houses, may only be worth X amount, and the city wants to pay them less than what they're worth, and then tear them down and build whatever the hell they want to build.
And then it's not even enough for them to purchase or even rent, another home.
And that's what bothers me, because if my 72-year-old grandmother lives in a house, you know what I'm saying, and you telling her that we're going to buy your house for $30,000.
Right.
Well, what if she lives to be 95 to 100? $30,000 is not going to get her anywhere.
That's someone's salary for 1 year.
That's almost their salary 30 times over, some of them.
You know what I mean? But, I'm just sitting here thinking about it, and I'm actually kind of getting a little, because I'm like, I can't even imagine how pissed I would be. Like when you just told the story of your professor. It was your professor, correct? To know that I purchased a home, and especially for millennials, we already get paid less than baby boomers and all that kind of stuff, and we already have, even though we're more educated, that's a whole nother story, conversation. But we're not even gonna get into it because that's a show within itself. But the work and the amount of time and patience and dedication that it takes to save up money to even put a down payment on a home, and then to call yourself a homeowner, and then to have someone take that away from you. Mm-hmm. I could not imagine how hot I would be. Like, I think I would be pissed. Like, I would probably do some illegal shit, like fuck a rally.
Hell yeah.
Like, I'm taking somebody out for this shit. Like, somebody gonna feel how I'm feeling right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, seriously though, like. And I don't know. It's only so much you can say about it. Like, it's just not right. And that's just what it comes down to. It's just not right.
And like that happened to me. My dad had to come home one day and tell us that we couldn't stay in our home any longer. And I think that's what makes us fight, is our personal stories with this as well. Is like, I can look at these people and be like, I've been through that and it's shitty, and I want to help you because I do have a privilege. being where I am today and stuff, and I want to use that to help. But it's like it's not a fun feeling.
No.
Having like no Christmas or like no. I didn't have a Christmas for almost 6 years because they couldn't afford it, and I was still thankful, and I was thankful for my socks and my mascara.
Right.
I was thankful for it. But it's not fun, and to see the worry in these people's eyes, but the absolute strength is what makes it worth the fight, because we listened to stories tonight actually in a meeting, and I was almost brought to tears just because of the resilience and the strength that comes out of these people. I mean, it moves mountains. These residents, we would not have gotten this far if it wasn't for the residents.
And I think it's amazing to have, people like you to speak for them too, because, like Antoine was saying earlier, some of these people have been living in these homes for, generations, and they can't afford to take off work to go to a city hall meeting. They may not have access to transportation to get here and there, or whatever the case may be. And so that's why it's important to have people who volunteer their time and who are activists and who can speak for them. And I think that's really important. I think people forget about that too. People have a lot to say, but they just may not have the means to say it.
It's the least we can do.
Yeah, and I was actually talking to a guy last night who was like, I don't know, he made some offhand comment about like whiny kids protesting or some shit.
Right.
So I was like, but he was like, oh, like, if you're mad about your city council members, why don't you just like run for office? And I was like, well, that's not really like how it works.
Right.
Like a lot of these residents are like low or fixed income, they're working 2 or 3 jobs, or they don't, have the expendable time or the resources to do any of these things. And if someone told them that they were going to represent them,
right,
and these residents voted for these people,
right,
and then these people, end up
doing the opposite,
and like really hurting them, then like it's not the resident's job to then like go and take their seat. It's the elected official's job, to
do what they're supposed to do,
job.
Because, and at the end of the day, and which makes it very difficult when you are voting, is because you don't know who's telling the truth, and you don't know until they're in office and they do it. There's just no way to really know. I mean, unless they've had some really crazy track record that you've been able to dig up somewhere. But I mean, that doesn't happen too often. But I mean, you only can really take their word for it. So
absolutely. One of the things I would recommend too is I know y'all mentioned that y'all spoke with like a lot of the students that are in agreement with y'all. Take that, if you have, I don't know if y'all have done or not, but survey these people. And actually take that data and then make it something that's quantifiable. And the reason that works for y'all is because his argument now is that not enough students feel that way. But if you have proof on paper that there are 73% of students that feel that way, then it's not much he can say. That argument becomes null and void. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that we've done, even with my work with Fulton County's Department of Health and Wellness. We, push for tobacco smoke-free environments, mainly bars and restaurants. And we actually use Georgia State University School of Public Health to do a smoking and tobacco survey throughout Fulton County. So people were saying, well, people don't care about it. We came to find out that 76% of Fulton County residents care about smoke-free environments for themselves, for their family, for their kids, whatever. So it was actually an agenda that helped push and convert a lot of tobacco and smoke-free restaurants in there. And now also all of Fulton County parks and recreation facilities are smoke-free.
Right.
And that just came from having quantifiable data. So that might be something that, I would really look into. Because you
numbers.
Can't beat numbers.
You can't beat numbers.
Yeah, we have at least 1,000 petition signatures, if not more, that we delivered to Dr. Becker's office last semester. And we're continuing to get those signatures. When we go to the classrooms, if you're interested in being a part of it, we talk to them like for a few minutes at the beginning of class, and then we give them information and we ask them for petition signatures. And we legitimize those signatures by asking them to put their campus ID on the front, which is the beginning of the email, not the number.
Right.
So that we have, we're giving him the numbers, we're giving him and he's using numbers as well, and so he and his lawyer, because we don't have a community liaison for Georgia State, we just have Dr. Becker's lawyer. They responded to us, and they were interviewed by The Signal, which is our student newspaper, and we've been in almost every issue of The Signal last semester. And he said that 90% of students agreed with the Turner Field purchase, and I was not polled. I know that no one that I've talked to has been polled. So he's just using empty statistics to make himself look good.
I'm like, where's the proof?
Yeah.
How did you
Yeah.
come up with these numbers? Like, you have to show where's.
And when
Then
we're-
we asked a bunch of students. We did a response article and we asked, like, were you ever polled? Like, did anyone ever ask you? And they're like, no. This is literally the first time I'm hearing about it. So we got our numbers and we kind of pushed back.
It's crazy. Like, you see this shit in movies, but it's like real life. Like, this stuff really happens. Like,
it is.
I feel like I'm in a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, people really just pull numbers out their ass and expect you not to be like, okay, well, how did you get the numbers?
You gonna be
Like,
petty? Let's be petty.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is, speaking of statistics, is there's a lot of study that's been done to develop the draft community benefits agreement. So the Turner Field Community Benefits Coalition is a collection of 44 different neighborhood organizations. 48?
Yeah,
Sorry, 48 different neighborhood organizations. Represent something like 1,600, 1,700 residents.
Yes.
So just like, and it's all democratically elected. Like, they've got leaders, and they did comprehensive polling to decide like what the residents have valued. And they also, this was done in conjunction with a study called the LCI, or the Livable Centers Initiative. And this was a group of researchers who came in and used the polling data from the neighborhoods, as well as like sociological data and whatnot, to determine like what would be the optimal development for this area and what that would look like. And the draft community benefits agreements based on a lot of the proposals outlined in the LCI. And Mark Becker comes and he tells us that he cares about these things, and he's sort of like asserted that, you know, the Turner Field development will be good. But, you know, it's not like these residents are just like pulling things out of their asses, or
Right.
asking for cash handouts. Like, they've done their homework, right?
They've been working together for over 2 years. Like,
Right.
they're very organized.
And this idea that like Mark Becker would just dismiss them out of hand. This idea that Mark Becker would just dismiss them out of hand, like he did for 18 months before students got involved, or that he would, you know, the city council, I think, has been involved in sort of like a smear campaign of like painting these residents as just like looking for cash handouts. It's like, not only is it just wrong, but it's also disrespectful in a way that I think communicates what Mark Becker's attitude is towards these people and towards the community that he tells everyone he wants Georgia State to be a part of.
Well, and on the flip side, I mean, if they were asking for cash, would that be wrong? You're taking their homes away.
Oh,
no,
it wouldn't be
exactly.
wrong.
No.
You know, so
The
it's
least
like,
they could do,
yeah,
like,
yeah. So even if they were asking for money, I mean, it's a win-win for real. Oh, they're getting what they want, and then you're still getting their land. So I
And
mean,
They're not getting what they deserve. That's the problem.
yeah, no. I'm saying, like, if the people were, he mentioned that Becker's trying to, the smear campaign and say like they just want money. But I'm saying, well, they have something that you want, and when someone has goods that you want, you have to pay them for those goods. So if they were saying, hey, yeah, you can have our home, but you have to pay us what, like you said, deserve
Yeah,
for
if they
the
were
home.
asking for money, they wouldn't ask for $21
Yeah.
million. They would ask for much more than that. Other universities have gotten way more money.
Right.
Than that. Columbia University in Harlem got a CBA from student activism and got, $500 million?
Right.
So
that's
if
what I'm
they're not
saying.
asking for money.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. So either way is like whatever he's saying doesn't make sense. But if the residents were asking for money, rightfully so, because it's their shit.
And Mark Becker had the audacity to call the CBA that the residents worked on for 2 years. In the article, he called it a laundry list, and pretty much just like was like, oh, this is just a list they made up overnight, blah 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 blah. Like, no, like
It was
he
thoroughly thought
It was
out.
thoroughly. I mean, the research, we have a copy. It's extensive. I mean, there's pages and pages of this contract that we've studied, and it's amazing how much work they've put into it. And he said, oh, it's just a laundry list, like it's fine, like whatever. I was like, okay.
Yeah, the draft community benefits agreement itself covers, it's got, I think, something like 36 to 40 different specific provisions, but they deal with 6 different areas. So there's like infrastructure development, education, job placement to ensure that like the jobs that are being made at Turner Field through like private retail or the private residence and stuff are being staffed by people who actually live in those areas and people who need jobs and good paying jobs. There's anti-displacement measures like I believe it's a $20 million revolving affordable housing loan fund that ensures that housing remains affordable in the area even when property values begin to rise.
Right.
And ensures that these home renters are able to become homeowners. And
Right.
to, like, actively increase their financial security and not just sort of prevent what would otherwise be
They'll be stagnant.
more or less an inevitable development of them
Right.
being pushed out. There's also things like community safety, and more importantly, there's the draft community benefits agreement has a strong oversight mechanism. So residents, members of Carter and Associates, members of GSU would all be on an oversight board that ensures that when someone has a complaint about not being able to get their affordable housing loan, then they can take it to the oversight committee. And they can
Right.
say, hey, where's the money? Why are the funds not here? And then when something goes wrong, we can hold them accountable,
Right.
Because the Braves were supposed to put 50% of parking revenue from the Turner Field parking lots into a community development fund that's supposed to benefit Summerhill and Peoplestown and Pittsburgh. But instead, so they were supposed to donate like 50%. The neighborhoods ended up getting like 8% of the funding. So 80% of the money that was supposed to go into this community development fund just disappeared.
I wonder where it went.
And so the Fulton County Recreational Authority was like, hey, where'd this money go? And the Braves were like, it's your fault. Like, well, it's not our problem.
Wash our hands of it.
Yeah, and they're gone now.
Yeah.
So maybe Fulton County's going to do something about it, but the Braves
Probably
are in Cobb
not.
County
Yeah.
now. And
Fulton County got something out of
Yeah.
it, I'm sure.
Yeah, but this is a new year, and
Yeah.
the students, the community, and everyone else is coming for y'all. So
I like
Yeah.
that. They coming for y'all.
Yeah.
this is
CBA no deal, my friend.
like Georgia State would directly benefit from this. It doesn't make any sense for Dr. Becker not to sign the CBA. You went to school too, so I know that you know that.
Right.
So you should, call your friends and get prepared to sign it because it's got to happen at some point.
I like it. All right, guys. Like we said, it is Wealth Wednesday here on Who You Talking About on why can't I say mybossfm.com tonight? Jesus Christ. Anyway.
Stuttering Stanley.
I know, stuttering Soraya.
Right.
Before we get off air, guys, I'm gonna give y'all a minute to, any last minute information, any contacts, if you want to give out even your personal social media, if you have any other forms of activism that you guys are involved in, if you have anything coming up in the future, whatever you guys want to say.
If you want to follow, I do a lot of photo stuff for the organization. So if you follow me on my personal Instagram, that's usually what I update the most. That's Sarah without the H, SARAGFPHOTO. And we also have a Facebook page, USASS at Georgia State University. Please, if you would go like that page. We have so much information on there from when our meetings are, from when, actions that we're doing before and after. We do a lot of stuff on that Facebook page, and yeah, we would love to have you join our organization.
In addition, another one of the activist groups that's been part of the Turner Field Coalition from its inception is the Progressive Student Alliance, which I'm the president of. So make sure you guys go follow our Facebook page, which is the Progressive Student Alliance at Georgia State. From there, you can always get updates on recent updates in the campaign and also other things that we're working on. Actually, tomorrow we're going to be having an anti-Trump rally at Hurt Park. So it's at 1 p.m., so feel free to come to that. And we're also having our first meeting of the semester, which will be Wednesday around 7 p.m. It'll be in, Classroom South, room 609. So guys, come out to that. And as always, just, stay active, stay updated, stay fighting.
If you want to get connected to just the anti-alt-right, aka white supremacy that's going on in Georgia State, the neo-Nazis have been posting stickers since last semester. and
Oh,
before
wow.
then. And it's a symbology, so a lot of people don't see it right away or don't know what it is because it's symbols. But that is happening. We all have heard of Patrick Sharp trying to start a white student union. And so the people that guy has mobilized and the people that Donald Trump has mobilized, we're coming for y'all.
I did not know
Other
that.
things that are
I didn't, and I'm not surprised because even at Kennesaw we had we had
Kennesaw,
some very
but Kennesaw's history,
interesting things.
Kennesaw's history is real deep in
Yeah.
racism and
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'm also a Black trans student activist. So there's SFQP, Southern Fried Queer Pride, that does a sort of pushback to the traditional Atlanta Pride or just Pride in general that's been going on. It reminds them that they were actually started by Black trans women. This was a riot, and we're not getting our rights, trans people specifically, as well as other people in our community, and we need to show the world that we're still here and that we deserve to be treated just like everyone else. It's not just a marriage equality issue. And I'm also the vice president of the Sustainable Energy Tribe. We are changing that name because it's obviously problematic. And we're going to be doing monthly cleanups this semester, including MPUV. So please look for the Sustainable Energy Tribe at Georgia State University on Facebook, and look out for our flyers. And I think that's pretty much it. And my name is Bean, so...
I like that
food.
Bean.
And,
like the food.
I just wanted to add, we had mentioned the story of Tanya Washington and her fight with the city
Yes.
of Atlanta. There's actually a short documentary on YouTube called Peoplestown, USA. Documents the story of Tanya Washington, also a couple, I can't remember their names, is Fred and Bertha or something like that. I don't remember the exact name, so don't quote me on that. But Peoplestown USA, it's just about 15 minutes long, but it helps, I think, provide some context for the fight against gentrification, and specifically in that neighborhood. And I think, personally, as someone who at first wasn't able to go to some of the neighborhood organization meetings, it helped me feel connected to the residents because
Right.
it's the documentary. It's the residents telling their story about their fight with the city of Atlanta and Kasim Greed using eminent domain to take away their homes.
I think that's a good point
Kasim
too.
Greed.
Kasim Greed. I love it. Hashtag. That's our hashtag for tonight.
Right.
But I think it's. I think that's really cool that you mentioned the documentary because it's like Trouble was saying earlier. Police stations are tweeting out when they've captured a criminal. Social media is so indoctrinated into our society that people will watch a documentary before they really go read, whatever.
Yeah.
Anything dealing with, trying to get the CBA for Turner Field or etc. You know what I mean? They'll watch a documentary though, or they'll listen to a podcast, or they'll read a meme or something like that, and at least it's a way to get them interested. The thing is to get them interested initially, because after they're interested, then they'll go search for the other things on their own. You know what I mean? So I think that was a very good idea.
And it's a very small time investment. She's 15 minutes, but it's a very incredible story. Tanya Washington's an incredible woman. She, I think she was pregnant at the time when she was fighting the city of Atlanta, and they camped out on City Hall steps. And she was,
wow.
She was 9 months pregnant,
Wow.
sleeping in a tent on the steps of City Hall.
So she's dope as shit.
She's dope as shit. She's a law professor at GSU and stuff, and so but yeah, I definitely check out that documentary because I think that does a really good job of explaining the context of those neighborhoods, that historical context, and also understanding that. And I think it's a really good precursor to understand what these neighborhoods have been through before you start thinking about
And what you guys are trying to do.
yeah, Turner Field.
Yeah.
There's also this is a little bit more of a time investment. It's a website that I find really interesting called myatlmaps.com. And sort of fun fact, Georgia State University has the largest archive of municipal maps in the state. So they put together a program, and they actually have a specific project called Stadiumville, and they've collected a series of historical maps of the Turner Field area. And it's interesting because you can visualize a lot of the history that we were talking about earlier. You can
By
see
seeing how it's changed.
Yeah, and you can see in the 1940s, the government was tracking where black people were moving, and so you could see on the map they had cordoned these off as the black neighborhoods, and then you can lay on the map from 20 years later where all these black neighborhoods were zoned to be torn down, and then you can put on the modern map and you can see where Turner
It's
Field
basically
is.
happening
Yeah.
again. This is, I mean,
Yeah. So when the residents
Yeah.
say that this is an ethnic cleansing and GSU is coming to throw
it's
us
happened
out,
before.
Yeah, they're
Like,
not. They're
they
not
have
making
proof.
stuff up. They're
Right.
not being extra. Like that's legit.
Yeah.
You're committed to diversity, though.
Right. Right. So Georgia
Yep.
State is using our bodies as tokens, literally.
Yeah.
And we're not going to allow you to do that. You're not going to kick all the black people out of Atlanta. Like
Right.
we made Atlanta.
And that's the reoccurring theme that I've seen, because I have seen some of those maps. When I was at Kennesaw, I was taking a class called The Black Woman, and I took another class about race and ethnicity or whatever. And Dr. Benjamin, he brought up a lot of the history about Kennesaw that we didn't know about, and just Atlanta in general. And he showed us some of the maps. And I actually looked into it myself, and it seems like every time people of color planted themselves somewhere and it started to boom and they made something of themselves, pushed right on out, and it got transformed into something else, So, reoccurring theme.
Yeah.
Anything to say?
No, I'm not part of any other student organizations. And they mentioned all the ones that I am also familiar with. And all the
Awesome.
So
events.
there's the it's TurnerfieldCoalition.org. There's also they're also on Facebook. The Housing Justice League is on Facebook. If you want to plug directly into resident struggles, if you're a resident yourself, including if you're about to graduate and you're trying to live in Atlanta, you might want to look into this.
Yep.
Facts on facts on facts. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to us tonight, and thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
you
thank you
guys.
all.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, seriously, for coming in and sitting in with us and educating the listeners, but also educating us, because we may know a little something, but we don't know everything. So, and like I said, especially for me, because I am considering attending Georgia State. So kind of shitty for me, because I ain't got too many choices in Georgia about where I can go to graduate school, and I sure ain't trying to drive all the way up to Kennesaw no more. That hour and a half drive, the hour drive to Kennesaw was a bitch every day. Jesus. But anyway, guys, like we said, this has been Wealth Wednesday. Hell, you talking about your favorite girl, Soraya Monet.
And your boy DJ Trouble. Trouble. Why you looking at me like that?
I mean, the extra troubles was unnecessary.
They need to know how much trouble I am.
You're not much.
There's a lot of trouble in this room, okay? Let
some
Becca
good
and them tell
trouble.
it. So
Yeah.
Yes.
let the right, or maybe the wrong people rather tell it.
Right.
It's a lot of trouble in this room, so we're gonna accentuate that just a little bit. But they're making things happen, and I really have to give kudos to people that have y'all's mentality and y'all's fight. You know what I'm saying?
And so young.
Yeah, because it's a lot of people that don't, believe it. Saray gets to me all the time because I can't say no. But I've never really been a fighter. So the point I make is that we need people that are willing to fight for things that even for things that they just see are wrong or see as an injustice
People
beyond.
walk through life
you know what I'm saying?
blind. They don't want to see it, because when you see it, first of all, you feel it, and no one wants to feel that pain. And and once you know about something, you can't unknow it. And once you know about it and you ain't doing nothing about it, you kind of feel silly when you don't put forth some effort to do something about it. So why not be blind to it? Why not be ignorant to it? And I really think that's the biggest thing with racists. They don't want to know, because once they know, they got to do something about it. And it's hard. It's hard. No one wants to work. It is difficult. It is not going to be easy. And it's like you're basically choosing to do something that's not easy. So, and it can have serious, repercussions. So,
Yeah, it's
we,
true.
We can win though. There's fighters
yeah.
in everyone.
Oh yeah. Oh, hey.
People power.
We've already won. Like I said,
Facts.
Mark Becker lost this when he capitulated to us once, because we're going to keep fighting until we get a community benefits agreement. And that's going to happen whether Mark Becker wants it or not.
Because we're his boss.
Hashtag we're your boss.
Your boss, Mark
We
Becker.
coming up with a whole bunch of good
I know.
hashtags tonight.
That's what I'm about
I
to
like
tell.
this.
That's what I'm about to tell my boss at Grady.
I mean,
and
you're
your boss.
Oh,
I pay your wages.
Right.
we have some hashtags that we've been using at USASS. I think the no CBA, no deal is one of them, and Becker Do the Right Thing.
Becker Sign the CBA is another one. That's
Copy.
like a chant that we do a lot too.
Copy. Well, you guys know definitely y'all can forward the information to us that you guys have, and even if you got some pictures or like I said, the hashtags, all that kind of good stuff, we are more than willing to repost and share whatever you guys have going on. So make sure you guys we'll give you our email, and you can make sure you guys forward that stuff to us so we can help you guys keep people in the loop, and maybe get some more folks added to
Put
y'all.
it on the hell you talking about page so they know what the hell y'all talking about.
Exactly.
Right,
See how that works out. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in again, and we will be back tomorrow for Trap Thursday. No, we ain't gonna come back tomorrow. Trap Thursday. We're not gonna do it.
So.
Okay. Well,
y'all will see us Monday.
Oh, you gonna see us Monday then? Okay. You just told me no, so you can't tell nobody else no, but you can tell me no.
We agreed on earlier.
Okay. All right.
This was a binding agreement.
I said okay.
This was a.
You ain't got shit to say this whole interview, but then you want to come for me.
Listen, let me sit over here and be inspired, okay?
We gonna come do shit tomorrow. If I say we gonna do shit tomorrow.
Okay. I'm gonna give you the key tonight.
Anywho, y'all, so we'll be back in the building Monday for Music Monday. But remember, next week is next week, right?
It is next week. National Drug and Alcohol
National Drug and Alcohol Facts Week. We got a lot of great things. Monday, we'll be talking about the different types of drugs and what they can do to your body. Tuesday, we will be talking about
the road to addiction,
signs of addiction, consequences of addiction, etc., etc. Wednesday, I will be telling my story about recovery and my road to recovery and how I got there and how it's been going since I've been there and all the crazy shit I did before I was in recovery.
3 a.m.
Yeah, I got some stories for y'all. And then on Thursday, we will be talking about resources for you guys, for not just for people who are actively in addiction, but for people who, if you have friends, family members, if you're already in recovery and you want your family and friends to be more involved with you. We're going to talk about the 12 steps, AA meetings, Al-Anon meetings, which are for your friends and your family, because people think once you're in recovery you're just going to go back to being whatever, but it is a road, and it's a struggle, and it helps other people who aren't in recovery and who have not been addicted understand what you're going through. And so we have a whole bunch of information for you guys, and it's not gonna be all somber. We still gonna have fun. We're still gonna be ourselves. We still gonna have the Hollywood buzz and get straight to the point and start with all that good stuff. We just want y'all to be safe and be happy and healthy, and so we're gonna do that. So we're gonna have the laughs in there, because they say when you laugh,
it's the best medicine.
It's the best medicine, right? So we're gonna do that, and I'm sure the stories I'm gonna tell about my personal life are gonna be quite hilarious. You guys will get a kick out of it. I can laugh at it now.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah. So make sure you guys tune in to us next week, guys.
All right, we'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Have a good weekend. Y'all be safe. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do. Better.
That's not.
All clear. The commercials are over. Now back to more music on Boss FM.